covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
Join us next week when we conclude our discussion with Dr. Chambers on his success in the Tourism Enhancement Fund's Special Tourism Innovation Incubator Program and how he has been able to turn his innovative idea into a successful business.
Need to estimate your duty? Perform a track and trace? Search for a declaration?
Then download the Jamaica Customs mobile app today. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
12 p.m.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at noon. It's Thursday, September 25, 2025. I'm Amoy Harriet. Police have identified the man killed in an operation in St. Andrew this morning. He is Damon Shearer of a St. Andrew address. Police say during an early morning operation in an area known as Hungry Town off Mannings Hill Road, Shearer pointed a .40 pistol at lawmen. The police opened fire and Shearer was shot and wounded. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The latest police shootings brings to 4 the number of fatal police shootings in the last 24 hours. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, says it is investigating the circumstances of 3 separate fatal police shooting incidents, resulting in the death of 4 men. Now, there was a double fatal shooting in Winter Spence, St. Catherine on Wednesday. The deceased have been identified as Malachi McLean and 24-year-old Nicoy Nelson. There was also another fatal shooting in Old Harbour, St. Catherine this morning. The name of the deceased is not known at this time. Now, the latest shootings brings to 230 the number of persons who have been fatally shot by the security forces since the start of this year. It's a 76% increase over the corresponding period in 2024, when 131 persons had been fatally shot by the security forces. INDECOM says 118 persons have been killed in planned operations, and no body-worn camera was reported as being worn by lawmen. Meanwhile, head of the St. Andrew North Police Division, Superintendent Randy Sweeney, is appealing to the following persons who are wanted in the division for murder to turn themselves in to the Constant Spring Criminal Investigation Branch or the nearest police station. They are Fabian Watson, also called Bulla, and Tristan, a welder of Florence Hill, St. Andrew, and Hamilton Gardens, Gregory Park, St. Catherine. Also, Chevon Matthews, also called Max of Zambia Central Village and Blue Hole District, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Kemar Samuda, also called Scammer and Chopper of a 104 Red Hills Road, Kingston 19 address. They're also seeking Emar Grinham, also called Bully Beef, of 128 Barbican Road, Andrews Pen, Kingston 8. They're also seeking Kenroy Willis, also called Papa, of a Lawrence Tavern address in St. Andrew. He's wanted for murder and is a person of interest in several other shootings and murders. Now, anyone knowing their whereabouts can contact the St. Andrew North Division at 876-924-1421 or call 119. And detectives assigned to the St. Anne Police Division have named Jordan Hyde, otherwise known as Tupac, of Windsor Heights, Marley in St. Anne's Bay, as a person of interest. Police say Hyde can assist with an ongoing investigation into several incidents in the parish. He is being urged to turn himself into the police immediately. Jordan Hyde or anyone knowing his whereabouts is asked to contact the St. Anne's Bay Criminal Investigation Branch at 876-9 872-2211, the National Intelligence Bureau tip line at 811, Crime Stop at 311, the 119 police emergency, or the nearest police station. Now, over a dozen prosecutors will be added to the staff complement at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. The expansion and further modernization of the office were among final projects that former Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn wanted in place before the end of her tenure. Ms. Llewellyn, who demitted office last Friday, spoke with her news center about improvements to come. Crystal Williams has the details.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions will be expanded as approval has been granted for an additional 12 prosecutors. The disclosure was made by former Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn. Ms. Llewellyn, who demitted office last Friday, says much work has been done to upgrade and modernize the office.
We have started digitization. We also, in fact, I was the one who had to engage the ministry for us to get a website. Now we have up to 58 prosecutors. I have gotten approval to get more. So when I demit office, we have approval to go up to 70 lawyers.
Ms. Llewellyn says the social and cultural landscape has changed since she took office 17 years ago.
When I took over, you had about 23 or 24 prosecutors. You had less than 8 administrative staff. You had no paralegals. You had one air conditioning unit in the entire multi-story office, and that was in the director's office. You had no computers except for one little one in the library. You had no laptops. We were almost Neanderthal, looking back to where we are now.
Ms. Llewellyn, who also made the office more accessible to media during her tenure, noted that the move was a deliberate cultural shift in how the office of the DPP traditionally operated.
My vision of where the office needs to go in terms of transformation included making sure that we answer the clamor of the public for transparency and accountability.
On her last day in office, she told CVM she was blessed to have been able to live her dream.
I am very proud and feel privileged that I got to live my passion, and that if I had it to do all over again, I would have chosen the same career path. I consider myself very privileged to have been able to spend the better part of my day living a passion, which was to prosecute and to give public service.
In 1999, Ms. Llewellyn became the first woman to act in the position of director. In 2003, became the first female to be appointed in the position of Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions. In 2025, she reminds viewers that with great power comes great responsibility.
It was purely on merit. I had always been assigned previously to be on the front line doing complex cases. There were elements of the patriarchy who resented the fact that I had got the nod. Because you wield great power, you must do it with grace and a certain sensitivity so that you never abuse that power.
Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
A line was drawn in the historic streets of Spanish Town on Wednesday with a wall of protesters as a spiritual showdown unfolded between a government seeking to legislate and a church refusing to compromise. More details in this report.
Almighty God, we serve.
Church representatives and their congregants in and around the Spanish Town area have come together to send a message to the authorities of the nation that they will not allow obeah to be legalized. Bishop Rowan Edwards, pastor of Lighthouse Ministries in Jamaica, references the alleged legalization of voodoo in other countries, such as Haiti, and its reported effects on the state of the country.
The church has seen the evil that has been done to Haiti the constant crime, the gangs that has taken over, all different kind of disasters, because Haiti has allowed voodoo to be one of their major religions. And we don't want that in Jamaica.
On his first stop in this movement, Dr. Edwards questioned the motives of business owners and other persons who may possibly profit from the practice.
You want to tell me that the government wants to make money off evil? You're talking about taxes? You want to tax the people who are practicing obeah, so you put money in the government's coffer? This is utter foolishness.
Chairman of the Spanish Town Ministers Fraternal, Pastor Dalbert Simmons, who describes obeah as witchcraft, says the beliefs and false hope it gives inspired him and his congregants to stand against it.
There are persons in this country, right, that believe that this practice, if you become a part of it and if you use the methods that they have, right, in terms of blood sacrifice, doing the many different things that they practice, right, it can raise the dead. I have been told that, you understand, if you get the right covering, or if you go to the right obeah man, you understand, you can commit crime and get off of it. Those belief, we have to stand against them.
He is asking the newly appointed cabinet not to fold to the pressure he believes they are under.
I am pleading to the Prime Minister, don't allow for pressure for you to overturn this law.
Bishop Reverend Dr. Alvin Bailey, president of the Jamaica Evangelical Alliance, says he believes that obeah has long been practiced in Jamaica, but has not been given the level of prominence currently being sought. Now that a decision is about to be made by the court, he says the Caribbean Church has chosen to take a stand.
The church needs to continue and to increase speaking out against obeah. We have received emails and we have received WhatsApp from our Christian counterpart in Haiti, who is asking us to do everything within our powers to ensure that obeah is not legalized in Jamaica.
The Christian Church awaits the decision to be made by the court, but for now, their resolve persists.
Obeah? Evil? It is not of God.
Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
The safety of Jamaica's children on the nation's roads has taken center stage following a crash involving roughly 20 students earlier this week in Gordontown, St. Andrew. A director of safety and security in school in the Ministry of Education, Richard Troop, says trauma teams have been dispatched to schools directly impacted by the accident. He notes that accidents of this nature can have lasting effects.
And that's why, as a ministry, we were so grateful for the National Rural School Bus Program, the rollout of that initiative to ensure that our children are afforded with a safe, reliable, and affordable transportation system. We only hope and we trust that we will continue to give support to this program over time so that as many communities and as many children as possible will benefit from this level of support to them, so that they can feel safe as they traverse to and from school.
And it's time for a break, but stay with us. More when we return.
To foundation for many generations. Home buyer or home builder, get to your destination. Get home with NHT, more possibilities. Get home with NHT, the key to your home.
Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The government is moving to address a number of issues it said it identified with the Program of Advancement Through Health and Education path. For years, stakeholders have pressed for an overhaul of the Social Assistance Initiative, citing flaws in the selection criteria, administrative and technical deficiencies, among other issues. Now, Labour and Social Security Minister Pernod Charles Jr. says during this financial year, the ministry will implement measures to strengthen path and ensure it delivers more effectively for vulnerable families.
We want the right people on path and the wrong people off of path. We also recognize that there is the need for us to address some of the significant issues like delays in verification, recertification challenges, and also outdated school records, aiming to remove barriers. That's our goal, removing those from affecting families and ensuring that we communicate with the public.
Newly appointed State Minister for Tourism Tova Hamilton made her debut on Tuesday with a special focus on cruise tourism. Ms. Hamilton noted that while the industry continues to bring thousands of visitors to the island, the local economic impact remains limited. She pointed to a range of challenges that hinder greater benefits and emphasized that stronger partnerships will be key to addressing them, particularly in ensuring that local communities are more fully integrated into the tourism sector.
I can say that the limited economic impact is probably as a result of the lack of products, the experiences. So when somebody comes off a ship, when they walk out, the onshore experience is where we need to develop. So I can speak for my constituency, Falmouth. Walking out of Falmouth, I think most of our cruise passengers go to St. Anne or St. James. Now it is for us to develop the onshore experience within the Falmouth space, the Trelawney space, so that we can earn a lot more and for locals to benefit. It will involve a lot of partnerships and collaboration. The minister spoke about the linkages, and I think it's really for us to expand that. I can think of, for example, not just the farming, but hospitality. I can think about experiences. I can think about entertainment industry. I mean, that's one of my affinity areas. I believe we can incorporate a lot more sectors within the tourism industry so that people can benefit.
Meanwhile, tourism officials say Jamaica's product is expanding beyond hotels and resorts with new developments targeting the luxury residential market. Among them is the Pinnacle Montego Bay, a private community now under construction in Reading. Overlooking the Montego Bay Marine Reserve, the property will feature apartment towers, villas, leisure facilities, fine dining, and a private residence club. The Chinese developers say it's a project designed not only to enhance Jamaica's tourism appeal, but also to attract international investors who are seeking exclusivity. Chief Architect Isaiah Madden notes her vision for her clients was not to only create a space that blends beauty with innovation, but one that places Jamaica firmly on the map for world-class development.
I wanted not only to create a beautiful space, I wanted to take into consideration the environment. I want to take into consideration what my clients wanted. My clients are Chinese. They come from a first world country, and they wanted to bring that feel to Jamaica to put us on the map where development is concerned. So took all of that into consideration and created the Pinnacle. What I wanted to do was to take the first world design and concept and kind of blend it in with the Jamaican environment.
In news now overseas, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. This after a Paris court found him guilty of criminal conspiracy. As Al Jazeera now reports, the case related to illegal Libyan financing of campaign funds ahead of his 2007 presidential campaign.
Well, this has been a case and a trial full of twists and turns, and now the verdict, it seems, is no different. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy given 5 years in prison. The judge said that was for his conviction of criminal conspiracy, I should say. She said that Nicolas Sarkozy had been the mastermind, the ringleader amongst his associates to try and procure illegal funds from Libya, that he knew exactly what was going on. So even though he was acquitted of the other 3 charges against him, which included corruption and embezzlement of public funds, he was found guilty of criminal conspiracy, and he has been given this very heavy prison sentence. Now, what we know is the next step is that Nicolas Sarkozy will then meet the judge in the coming days to talk about his sentence. But as far as we understand, he will have to go to prison. He will, of course, perhaps try to appeal it. Even so, he'll have to go to prison. He will, though, perhaps ask if he can serve out his term in house arrest or with an electronic bracelet. But what we are seeing is a former French president that will end up in some way for some time behind bars, and that is unprecedented. It is, of course, a huge